You're applying sunscreen every single day. You think you're protected. You're not. Not fully. And the reason has nothing to do with your sunscreen being a bad product. It has everything to do with how much you're using. 5 mistakes, the fix for each one, with the most serious with long-term consequences being the first, and why it matters clinically. Exactly what to do. Let's go. Mistake 1, not applying enough sunscreen. This is the most universal common mistake, and it silently undermines everything else that you do right. The rule for your face and neck, you need approximately half a teaspoon. That's about 2 to 2.5 ml for your face and neck. For full body, roughly 30 ml. That's one shot glass. Most people use a fraction. They use a pea-sized amount, which is like less than a ml. A couple of dots. Why does this matter? SPF ratings are established in the labs using 2 mg per centimeter square of skin. That roughly translates to about half a teaspoon for your face. And when you apply less, almost everyone does this, you get it dramatically less protection. So if you apply half the recommended amount of SPF 50, you're getting roughly half the SPF and half the protection. So SPF 25 in practice. A quarter of it, SPF 12. Think what you might. But you're buying SPF 50, you're paying for SPF 50, you think you're protected by SPF 50, but you're walking around with a SPF 12. Every day I see this day in, day out in my clinic consistently. Patients who are talking about diligently using sunscreen, good sunscreen, applying every day, and still developing new pigmentation, new spots, persistent tanning. The product isn't failing them, it's the application. The fix, use significantly more than you think is necessary. Your skin should have a visible thin layer on it. It doesn't have to be sticky, but a thin layer. Some sunscreens leave a white cast which feels heavy. If that's stopping you from applying enough, the problem is the formula. In India, there are some specifically designed ones like the SkinQ Sun Protect Gel SPF 40, PA 4+, the Minimalist SPF 50, PA 2, Neutrogena Ultra Sheer, Lush Shield SPF. These are well tolerated and they're good for wide use. The sunscreen from SkinQ specifically formulated so that there's no white cast and there's no barrier to reapplying and applying the right amount. No white cast, no stickiness. Pick a formula that actually suits you, that you will use generously. Put it into your palm, look at it, and then apply. This will give you an idea as to the amount of sunscreen that you're using. And the most common answer is you need to add more. Mistake 2, not reapplying. You've applied the sunscreen in the morning, perfectly good amount, stepped out feeling invincible. 3 hours later, your protection is significantly diminished. Sunscreen wears off. UV exposure degrades UV filters. Sweating, sebum, touching your face, all of it break down the protective film. The guideline, reapply every 2 hours to 3 hours when outdoors especially, or if you're sweating or swimming, every 40 to 80 minutes. This is the gold standard. And in India's heat, where you may be sweating within few minutes of applying sunscreen, the 40-minute rule tends to apply if you're outside rather than a 2-hour rule. And a lot of people say, I'm wearing makeup. I hear this constantly. Even though it has SPF in makeup with setting sprays, SPF powders, sunscreen sticks, they are not as complete as a proper sunscreen application. But it's better than nothing. In India, there's a Kaya sunscreen, Dermaco Ultra Matte SPF, and you can usually carry around travel sizes of Ultra Sheer from Neutrogena, and you can put these on. Press, don't rub. And for people who work near windows, you need to reapply your sunscreen too, because UVA gets through the glass. And if you're seated near a window for 4 hours, your morning sunscreen has already degenerated and degraded. A midway application at your desk matters. So at lunch hour, do that. One change is consistent reapplication, and it'll make a difference to your long-term skin health better than any other serum that you apply or buy. Mistake 3, relying on makeup SPF. SPF foundations, SPF BB creams, SPF moisturizers sound great and they give you some protection. but it's some, and it's not really a complete protection. You're never really applying foundation in quantities required to achieve the SPF. Nobody puts half a teaspoon of foundation on their face. The amount you're applying is a fraction of the lab tested amount, which means the SPF you're actually getting from the makeup is dramatically lower than what the label says. I've had conversations with my patients who are confused, but my BB cream is SPF 30. Mathematically, the SPF you're getting from the BB cream is going to be very less, probably 6 to 8 in real life, maybe even lesser. And this issue compounds. Makeup sits on top of the skin, it moves, it transfers, and it doesn't adhere the way a dedicated film forming sunscreen does. Foundation is not your sunscreen. Foundation goes on after your sunscreen. The fix: a dedicated, properly formulated sunscreen as a separate step every single morning before primer, before makeup. Let it absorb for a minute and then proceed with your sunscreen before the rest of your makeup. And always, if you find sunscreen breaks up your makeup or pills under the foundation, the issue is usually formula compatibility. Find a SPF that layers under your makeup because they're designed to form a clean film. Test the combination before dismissing the steps. Mistake 4, missing spots. A lot of times applying the sunscreen correctly is important. Missing key areas can damage the skin, like the forgotten zones. The tips of the ear get away from the sunscreen, but it's also exposed. Cancer on the ear is quite common, more common than we think about it. So don't skip the outer rim of the ear. And neck. People tend to put everything on their face and they forget the neck and they stop at the jawline. I can always tell when someone's sunscreen is being applied only at the jawline just by seeing the difference between the neck and the face. The truth: neck ages faster in unprotected patients, and it's where the disconnect becomes undeniable at 45, at 50 years of age. Then your hands. It's constantly exposed to the sun and constantly forgotten. Hands often look 10 years older than someone's face because of this. Keep a small sunscreen in your desk or in your bag and apply it to the back of your hands when you're done with your face. Your hairline, right? And the parting of your scalp where the direct sunlight hits, unfiltered UV every single day. You can use a SPF powder along the parting sometimes, and some pharmacies even have hair SPF sprays. This matters particularly for women who wear a central parting because even the scalp is skin and this can also get damaged over a period of time. Your lips, there's no melanin protection here. There's hardly any lip balms that have SPF. There are a few in Indian market like the Dot and Key SPF lip balm which can give you protection, or you can use your regular sunscreen on your lips and follow it up with your moisturizer to protect it. Décolleté, the chest, the upper areas. In Indian summers, the necklines, the areas that get significant UV exposure, is one of the first places that shows aging in women. Bring your sunscreen down past the collarbone. If the UV camera were pointed at your face right now and all these areas covered, you'll know. So they should be. Don't miss those spots. Mistake 5, wrong formula or expired sunscreen. 2 problems in one and very common. First, expired sunscreen. UV filters degrade over time. Expired sunscreen is not just less effective, it's unreliable. Check your expiry. Ideally, replace annually. The issue is worse in Indian conditions, specifically heat. Heat degrades UV filters faster. A sunscreen should be stored in a bathroom, which should not be left in a hot bathroom area or in a shelf or in the car. The filters will degrade, and before the expiry date also. Store in a cool, dry place. Replace after the summer if you've kept it in heat. Second, not all sunscreens are equal or made for Indian skin conditions. Broad spectrum is non-negotiable. UVA and UVB, both coverage is needed. UVB causes burning, UVA causes aging and penetrates more deeply. So you need protection for both. So look for sunscreens that have a PA rating. SPF, it's for UVB protection, whereas PA tells you about UVA protection. A minimum of SPF 40 with a PA of 3+ minimum for daily use. For outdoors, 40 to 50 SPF. For beaches, mountain activities, outdoor events, SPF 50 and over with water resistance. The PA rating system was developed in Japan and is more relevant to Indian skin than just SPF alone, because UVA is primarily responsible for melanin activation and Indian skin reacts dramatically to UVA. If your sunscreen doesn't have PA rating, there's a gap in your knowledge about your protection. My pick for Indian skin at different price points. If you're looking for a budget sunscreen, think about Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Dry Touch, minimalist sunscreen, Dermaco sunscreens. If you're looking at a little bit of a mid-range, Dermatologist has a good sunscreen. SkinQ Sun Shield SPF 50 with a PA 3+ rating. These do help. The best sunscreen is the sunscreen that you will use generously and daily. This matters more than any other variable. My morning routine, which is non-negotiable, is after cleansing, a vitamin C serum and sunscreen. Generous amount. I let it absorb for a minute and then I'll use makeup, if any, on a daily basis. Midday, I do reapply my sunscreen. Usually in the clinic, I'll just put the sunscreen on and tap it onto my skin and let it go. I don't rub it in. Sometimes if I have makeup on, I'll use a SPF powder to tap on. For Indian skin, I specifically like formulas that have a combination of chemical, physical sunscreens like hybrids. The chemicals don't really have a white cast. Even pure mineral sunscreens are actually good for darker tones. Physical sunscreens can leave a little bit of a cast, but it's better for outdoor activities. I'll be transparent about something. Even I've had periods where sometimes convenience has won over consistency. Like when I've had early morning surgeries, long clinic days, rushing out quickly, but what has helped me solve for this is making my sunscreen easily accessible. I keep one in the same spot every day, so it's a routine. I don't even have to think about it. Brush your teeth, have your shower, put on your sunscreen. So it's all about routine and practicing, and I keep sunscreen everywhere that it's available so that I never forget it. Remember to apply your sunscreen because it'll get through the glass. So even at home, indoors, there is UVA exposure, so reapply your sunscreen. And one thing is, find a sunscreen that has a built-in antioxidant like a vitamin C. It works better, or use an antioxidant serum before the sunscreen. Antioxidants will help quench the thirst and stop the radiation and stop the skin or DNA damage. Vitamin C as a serum or vitamin C built into a sunscreen, stack it. 5 mistakes, 5 fixes. 1. Half a teaspoon for your face and neck, more than you think. 2. Reapply every 2 to 4 hours. And if you're outdoor, more often. 3. Separate SPF step. A foundation or a makeup SPF doesn't count. 4. Don't forget the ears, the neck, hands, hairline, décolleté. Don't skip them. 5. Check the expiry date. Use broad spectrum sunscreen SPF 40 and higher with a PA rating. Use it consistently, and this is more powerful than anything else in your long-term skin health program. Next week, we'll talk about hyperpigmentation and dark spots, the complete 3-step framework, what actually works, what's a waste of time and money, and when home care isn't enough. Subscribe now and drop a comment with your current sunscreen. I want to see what you're using and maybe help you get the best sunscreen out there possible. This is Dr. Chytra Anand, your beauty doc, signing off.